Welcome to Vintage SF. I'm Richard Rempel, and today we're going to talk about a classic in the science fiction genre. Alfred Bester ignited in the 1950s. He came out with a novel, The Demolished Man, in 1953, which won the first ever Hugo Award. Then, in 1956, The Star's My Destination. You might also know it as Tiger, Tiger. And finally, a collection of his stories, Starburst. Now, other authors had 3 or more books within that decade. You can think of Robert A. Heinlein. He must have had 10 or 11 of them. But for my money, Alfred Bester may have had the best decade in terms of the power of his work. Now, the 2 novels that were published in the 1950s, both of them amazing. I prefer The Star's My Destination. Survival story, being left for dead, betrayed by a company that he worked for. Gully Foyle seeks revenge. While being the protagonist, he is definitely an anti-hero, self-centered, with acts of cruelty. But there's growth to this person as he goes through his story of revenge. But what I want to go through in this video is the evolution of the publication of this story. If we take a look at ISFDB, that's Internet Speculative Fiction Database, we can see that Tiger, Tiger was first published by Sidgwick and Jackson in the UK. That was in 1956, June 14th. Then Galaxy Science Fiction magazine published 4 issues with the novel, starting in October of 1956 and ending in January of 1957. For Galaxy Science Fiction, it was retitled The Star's My Destination. The first actual book printing in the United States was by Signet in 1957, March. Then the next publication is another hardcover. The Science Fiction Book Club of the UK published Tiger, Tiger in 1958 in March. In August of 1959, Panther in the UK published The Star's My Destination, the first time it used that title in the UK. And the first hardcover edition that you would find the story in the United States was actually a Treasury of Great Science Fiction Volume 2, published in November 1959. Editor was Anthony Boucher, and it came from Doubleday. I do happen to have the 2-volume set of A Treasury of Great Science Fiction. This is really one anthology. It has 4 full-length novels, 12 novelettes, and 8 short stories. And one of the 4 of the full-length novels is the last one in the 2nd volume, and it is The Star's My Destination. So as being recognized by the end of the 1950s as a very important story, a very important novel. So as I've mentioned, I was able to pick up 3 issues of Galaxy with this story in there. Let's take a look. So the first of the 4 issues of Galaxy Science Fiction, which serialized the novel, featured the novel on the cover. The artist's name is E.M.S.H. Empsch. A great new novel, The Star's My Destination, by Alfred Bester, author of the award-winning The Demolished Man and other stories. And as you can see here, it was October 1956. Now, often magazines were sold a month before that time frame, so it really was on sale in September of 1956 on the newsstands. On the table of contents, we can see some of the other stories within here. We can see here that we have authors such as Simak and Norris, and on our editor's page, we can see that this is edited by H.L. Gold or Horace Gold. Gold had a great relationship with Bester. He first published The Demolished Man in magazine form. Let's flip to the story itself. The Star's My Destination by Alfred Bester. It starts with a quote from Blake, a poem by Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Gully Foyle is the tiger, literally tattooed to his face. What Alfred Bester did with telepathy in The Demolished Man, he does now with teleportation in this equally spectacular, brilliantly real, really brilliant novel of the future, beginning a 4-part serial. And the illustrations throughout these issues are by Empsch. Emsch was a short form for Edmund Alexander Emschwiller, noted for his science fiction illustrations. We'll just flip through and take a look at some of the illustrations from this and the other issues. On this next interior illustration, you can see Nomad clearly tattooed onto Gullyfoyle's face. Part 2 was in Galaxy Science Fiction, November of 1956. In this issue, there were also stories by Frederick Pohl, Lester Del Rey, and Robert Silverberg. Once again, we can see the tattooing that happens here. I'm not sure if that's the way they used to tattoo in the 1950s. I'm going to read this first synopsis here that'll help you understand how the story starts. This would be the synopsis for Part 1. The history of Gulliver Foyle's drive for vengeance begins in the 25th century, a fascinating freak century of monsters and grotesques, the great age of teleportation, which is called jaunting. Foyle, the last living survivor aboard the Pristine Company's freighter Nomad, has been drifting in space, fighting for survival in the wrecked ship for 170 days. Another freighter, SS Vorga, also owned by the Pristine Company, passes close enough to sight Foyle. Unaccountably and cruelly, Vorga refuses to rescue Foyle and leaves him to die. By the way, jaunting, the name for teleportation, inspired a Stephen King story called The Jaunt, one of his best, at least one of his best science fiction stories. And the third issue that I own is the Galaxy Science Fiction December of 1956 for Part 3 of The Star's My Destination. You can see other stories by Robert Sheckley, William Tenn, and E.C. Tubb. What would happen as Gully Foyle seeks revenge? Would Foyle be foiled? So what about that fourth issue, January 1957, actually the Christmas issue? Well, here's the cover for it, and thanks to archive.org, I have access to that magazine. I've taken some screenshots, and here's the illustrations for the story, the conclusion of The Star's My Destination. I'm very happy that I was able to find this because there's some very interesting artwork here. It's what you might call graphic word art. This is known as illustrative typography. Words are arranged to form a visual image or to achieve a literary effect with a narrative. Bester used this illustrative typography to amazing effect. So there you have it, the first publication of The Star's My Destination in the United States in Galaxy Science Fiction magazine. It's also a great look at what attracts people to pulp magazines. We're left with one question here after taking a look at this magazine's publication. Why was the name changed to The Star's My Destination from Tiger Tiger? Tiger Tiger obviously comes from the Blake poem. Well, The Star Is My Destination comes from something that Gully Foyle says. Was it Horace L. Gold that changed the title? If you have any further information about this, I'd love to know. Please comment below. Until next time, keep burning bright and keep reading.